All right. Again, hi. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. My name is Pavan Oberoi. I'm part of the Whiteboard.chat team. I also have Sid with me, who's my colleague. We are going to talk about Whiteboard.chat. This is the beginner webinar. We do alternate weeks, beginners and advanced. So this is the beginners webinar. Whiteboard.chat is created by our company, which is called Epiphany. We are based out of the Bay Area in California. And we are a really small startup who started in December of 2019, just before COVID hit. And once COVID hit, we saw our own kids struggling with remote learning, with distance learning, with virtual learning, whatever you want to call it. I, from our perspective, it's a new way of learning. But we took parts of the product that we were making at that time and we created Whiteboard.chat. And since then, it's been teachers from around the world who have embraced it, and they're helping us build the product. It's completely designed by teachers. They tell us what to do. We go and implement it. That's all we do, right? We just listen to what teachers tell us. It's completely based in feedback. So here is the agenda. This says advanced, which is wrong. I'm going to demonstrate all the basic features of whiteboard.chat. I'll invite you to experience it live with us. And then if you have questions or at any time, please type them on the Zoom chat and I'll pause in between and ask Sid to read them out to me. And what we do in this webinar is that we spend the full hour covering what we want to, but we stay 30 minutes past the hour if you want to interact with us, or if you want to talk to us, or if you have more questions that we didn't answer. So we'll stay back 30 more minutes. Where does whiteboard.chat fit in into the virtual class ecosystem? It's primarily an observability and an engagement platform. It works really nicely with Google Meet, Zoom, like we're using today, Microsoft Teams. It works really nicely with different LMSs as well. I'll show you how teachers use it. They just take the invitation link and embed that into some of these LMSs out there. But this is the marquee feature of whiteboard.chat, which allows the teacher to look over the shoulder of each and every child in the class simultaneously. Right? Imagine teachers have told us things like this were never possible, even when you are in person in a classroom, because you can walk around the class, you can observe one kid or a group of kids, but not the whole class at the same time. But whiteboard.chat allows you to do that, right? That's how the platform took off. That was the main feature. But since then, we have added so many things that I don't even think it should be called a whiteboard anymore. So that's where things are. It's super well received. We have it's used all around the world except Iceland. I don't know why Iceland doesn't like whiteboard.chat, but it's almost about 50,000 users per day that use it around the world. We have people from around the world on this webinar, so thank you for joining us as well. It's primarily US is the first place where it's used, but I think the other countries are catching up as well. We have a Facebook group called Teachers Using Whiteboard.chat. So if you like what you see and if you want to use it, there's a strong support community, right? Sid will paste a link on the chat. So if you want to join that group, they are the ones who guide us. We interact very closely with them on a daily basis. We actually roll out new features almost daily based on teachers' requests, right, that we get from that group, from this email alias. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram or Twitter. We have a YouTube channel where you can subscribe to, and we will post this video there as well, right? And if you want a PD certificate for this training, we do provide PD certificates. So either respond to Dhaval, who sent you the invite, or you can send an email to this alias and we'll get you a PD certificate for this training. That said, let me get started. Whiteboard.chat is a browser-based platform. So it works across a varied set of devices. It works on computers, on Macs, on PCs. It works on iPads, it works on Chromebooks, it works on even some parts of the world, they use it on smartphones even, but it's not designed for a smartphone. It's a little hard to use, but it is usable. And student privacy is extremely important to us. In fact, even teacher privacy is extremely important to us. So here you can find our privacy and terms of conditions. We have signed multiple different agreements with school districts around the world, which go above and beyond what our privacy statement says. We are COPPA compliant, we are GDPR compliant. You can read about it more here if you want to. And there are two ways to use whiteboard.chat if you click the start drawing button. One is like a regular collaboration whiteboard where everybody gets on the same board, they interact with each other, but you can obviously erase each other's stuff. You can move each other's stuff as well. So this is mainly for enterprises using it. What we will focus on this training is the teaching mode, where you can create, assign, and live teach individual student boards, right? You can create a template, which is the instructor board, and send a link to that instructor board to the kids, and they can just click the link and it'll make a copy for them, which is what we will show you today. So you click this button, you go right in. Teachers also don't need an account. Students never need an account on whiteboard.chat. Teachers can create an account if they want to save their work, but that's the only purpose. Otherwise, you don't need an account. So as soon as you get started, you can start using the brush, right? You see that the color of the brush matches the tools on the side. Some teachers love it, some teachers hate it. There's a way to turn that off if you want to. On the right hand side here, you can change colors. You can do millions of colors with whiteboard.chat. Like for example, if I change the color, you see this color changes as well. You can change the thickness of the brush, so it becomes a thicker brush by using this first slider. You can make dotted lines instead of straight lines, right, with by clicking this dotted line thing. You can type anywhere. You don't need to put, if you just use your keyboard and start typing, it'll type anywhere on the screen. You can change the font by clicking this. There are 4 fonts that we support. This is the default font, right? And then you can start typing anywhere. You can change the size of the font by using this third slider as well. So if you want a bigger text, it becomes bigger as well, right? You can drag the text box around. So if you want to even make this longer or wider, you can change the size of the text box by clicking the corner of the button and using it. These are the very basic tools on the right hand side. There's a highlighter built in as well. So if you click this button, you can change the opacity of your brush so it can become a highlighter, so you can highlight stuff if you want to, right? So it's a built-in highlighter. So these are the very basic tools on the bottom right, right? There is on the left hand side is our main toolbar, and you can see more tools here. You can explicitly use a text box if you want to, right? If you want to keep typing something, you can use the text box. It'll keep coming up. There's an eraser built in. It's an object eraser. An easier way to get to the eraser is to use your right click and drag. So your pen becomes an eraser. So it's a super easy way to just get everything out of the way. Of course, there's a clear all. So you can clear the screen completely of all the objects that you have placed there. And there's a brush tool, which is the default tool by itself, but you can change the default tools by clicking this, and you can say, hey, I don't like the brush tool. I want the move or select tool, which is better for younger kids to use. And you can change that from this gear icon on the top right. Right. So most teachers, what they do is they prepare for the lesson by uploading Google Slides or uploading a PDF. So let's say I have a PDF which is 3 pages long. I can upload this from my computer, or I can upload it from Google Drive. We are still waiting on some approval from Google. So for now, just use the computer version. So you can just find your file that you want. So I'm looking for this file that has 3 pages. It's a worksheet. It has 3 pages in it. It's a PDF. So, and I just point whiteboard.chat to it. So you get the first page. This is the first page. So each page in the PDF gets converted to a page in whiteboard.chat. So you have 3 pages, page number 1, page number 2, right, and page number 3. And you can see that I can, as soon as I upload the PDF, Whiteboard automatically created 3 pages for me. I can start annotating on top of the PDF, right? I can start writing on top of the PDF using the text or anything, and that's it, right? So it's super easy to use. And then I invite students. So what you do is, now you're prepared for your lesson, you want to invite your students. You click this invite button. This is important. Please remember to use the invite button from here. So you click the invite button. The students can either enter this classroom code, or what most teachers do is they take this link. So if you click this button, it will copy the link into your clipboard. And you can paste this link in your LMS, in your Bitmoji classroom, or even chat. Right, so I'm going to paste it on chat so my colleague Sid can join as a student, right? As well as I'm going to create another window on the side where I'll show you what the student experience is. So this window on the right hand side is the student, the window on the left hand side is the teacher, right? So you see, when the student joins Whiteboard.chat for the first time, they'll be asked for a name. So they can give any name that can identify themselves to the teacher. Right? And as soon as they join, they get a copy of this template and they can start using it, right? They can say, I want to start typing on it. They get different colors. Of course, they can change colors too. I will make this a little bit darker, right? And then they can start typing on it. They can start writing on it, whatever else they need to do, right? So they can start using Whiteboard.chat immediately. But they cannot erase any of the teacher's objects. So if I try to use the eraser and try to erase, I can erase only things I have put as a student. I cannot erase the things the teacher has put, or I cannot even move them. And this is the cool part, right? And as a teacher, you can actually watch students in real time. So if you click this grid view button, you can see everybody. It's almost like a camera which is on top of each kid's shoulder. And you can see what they're doing. You can see, look, Sid is drawing a nice tree, right? Instead of working on his workbook, right? And this kid, if this kid is working, you can see as they're drawing in real time, the drawings do show up. Oops. I need to check back to the brush tool. Right, so they can, as I'm drawing, you can see this kid's stuff is showing up live on the teacher view. So you can watch them as they go through the lesson, where they're struggling, where they're doing well, what is going on. Even if they flip the page, so if they go to the next page, you'll see the live view changes so that they're on page 2, and you can watch them live as they're working. And you as a teacher can also join them. So if they're struggling with something, you can join them on their board, right? So you can click the join button. Now the teacher is here. You can say, oh, good job, right? So this is only on this student's board. This is not on the class board. And you can give them a sticker. I'll show you these things in a little more detail in a few minutes, but I'll we just added Valentine's sticker. So maybe I'll give them a Valentine's sticker, right? So I can say, good job, right? And then that's it, and go back to the instructor view. Right, now you're at the top of the class, you're watching the whole class again, right? So that kid got a sticker, they're happy, they continue working on whatever they want. And the kids have the ability to ask for help as well. So they can raise their hand, they can say, look, I'm raising my hand, the teacher gets a notification. If the teacher clicks this, it'll take you to that student's page where they need help. Or they can signal to the teacher, I'm done with this work, right? They can say, I finished. And the teacher gets a chronological order of who are the kids who finished in what order. So that's the very basic stuff to get started. That's all you need to know. Whiteboard.chat. There are 100 other features which I will show you as well, but that's the basic, right? So don't worry about overwhelming yourself with the rest of the stuff. That's all you need to do. You can take pictures of your textbook. You can upload your textbook PDFs into it and just have kids work on it and watch them live. That's the basic starting point. So I'll pause here and see if Sid has questions for me.
Yes, Paul, good time to pause. So I think that was a little quick for some of the participants. Would you be able to just show the whole invite and the upload PDF and those parts again? Thanks.
Okay, sure. So what I'll do is, let me go back to create a new board. So you start again, there's like a brand new board. you say start teaching, right? That's the first step. Now you upload your PDF. You say go to this upload file. You say from computer, because I don't have Google Drive access right now. You find your file, your PDF file on your local hard disk, right? And you upload it. That's it, right? So this is uploaded on the template, right? It's already there. I can start using it. Now I can invite, so I can see I have 3 pages. So if I click this button, you can see I got all the 3 pages as well, right? Now I just click this invite button and then copy this link by clicking this thing and put this in my LMS, or in this case, I'm going to put it on my chat with Sid and he can join as well. And I'll also send this to my pretend student on the right hand side, and they will join this classroom too, right? So this time it is asking me to sign in. Sorry, let me close this window. I'll start this again. Oh, I set this setting. Okay, now I click this thing again, and then the student joins. That's it. Right now, the students all have their copy. They're working on their copies. My default tool is set to move, which I can change to brush, and that's it, right? So that's the basic. You can watch them in grid view. The kids are already working on their worksheet that you uploaded. Okay, anything else said?
That's
I have a
good.
question. I have a question.
Do you mind typing it out? We have a lot of
Talk.
sorry, we have a lot of people on the thing. If we keep pausing, then we won't be able to finish what we wanted. So we clubbed the questions together intentionally. We will stay back 30 minutes after the hour. If you want to interact with us on a one-on-one basis, we will do that. But please type it out if you can. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question. Can you hear me, sir?
So we are not taking questions in person. We have done this in the past. It wastes everybody's time. So can you please type it out?
Okay.
Thank you. We can do that after the hour is finished. We'll do that. But we don't want to interrupt 85 people. Sorry.
Thanks, Juan. Yeah, so one question was, how did you look at the page view, the bar on the left-hand side?
On the page, oh, you just click this button on the left and you can see all the pages that you have uploaded. So it just shows you a thumbnail of all the pages that are part of the workbook.
Great. And yeah, and then there's a question about the grid view as well.
So yeah, if you click the grid view, you go into the grid view. This is a live view of the children of your class as they're working through their lesson, right? So you can see them live. You can join each kid from here. You can zoom into one kid. You can join their board, work with them as well, right? So that's the basic grid view. And if you have multiple students, we support up to 125 students in a class. So you'll have multiple pages of this. You can customize how many students you see per page, up to 20 students. So you can say, I want a 4x5 grid, which will be quite unreadable, but you can still do that if you want.
Yeah, so a few more questions. There's a question about how do you see the students work?
So you can watch them as they're doing live work in the grid view, right? You can see the work of, let's say, this student. This student is doing this work on the right-hand side, right? If they're drawing a star, you can see the star. You can see the live work of the student as they're progressing through it.
Great. Is there a cheat sheet or help for Whiteboard?
Yes, so in this, if you click the 3 buttons here, you can go to help. There's a downloadable teacher's guide, downloadable student's guide, a FAQ, a math input guide. There's a lot of information that you can find on the help. And we have a ton of videos too. You can watch them again and again, and if you want to see it.
Yep. How do kids upload their work to LMS Canvas?
So we'll get to that, but you can download, the kids have the ability to download their work as a PDF. So they can click this button, the download button, and you can say download my work, which will contain the stuff that the teacher has on the template as well as their annotations on top. We'll download it as a PDF, which they can upload to the LMS. Or all of this work automatically gets saved in the cloud. So it gets, even if the students don't have an account, the teacher has an account. So the students' work gets saved with the students' work all the time. And you can get back to it, which I will show you in a bit.
How do I control the settings for my students, like the tools that they can use?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We have a way in this gear menu to say, I want very simple tools for kids. This is good for younger kids, right? You can say, I want very simple code. So you see that it took away all the things in the toolbar except the drawing tool and the text tool and the camera. The camera is useful for taking pictures of live work, of paper pencil work, right? So if you want them to use like a webcam to take pictures of work, they can take the work and save it. It'll show up on their board and you can use that to correct. They can also use this webcam audio video to record, uh, the kids record their voice or videos if they want, if you want them to read out something, and the teacher can put instructions also. So these are the very basic tools that are put on the screen. You can also customize it to the nth level if you want. If you click this, you can say, hey, I want these tools. You can turn off all of the tools that we have. You can set the font size for the kids. You can set the brush size for the kids as well if you want to. So this is more advanced. You don't need to know this as a beginner, but there is the flexibility if you need it.
Can you annotate anywhere on the page?
Yes, you can annotate anywhere on the page. You can draw anywhere on the page. You can write anywhere on the page.
Okay. How do you differentiate between an individual lesson copies and a shared collaborative document?
So I will show you the collaborative documents in a bit when we show the groups.
Okay. I think there's a little bit of confusion about how you manage to get the split screen windows. Do you want to just quickly mention the incognito?
Yeah, so these are two different browsers. So what I did was I opened another window in Chrome. So if you have Chrome, if I close this, for example, right, I can go copy the invite, right? And then on Chrome menu, you can go to File, New Incognito window. So what that does is it allows me to create a pretend student and just paste that. I recommend you do that so you can experience your whiteboards live from a student's perspective all the time, right? So it's a good practice in general to always open an incognito mode before you send your students the boards, right? So you can test it. And you see that I reopened my browser, but it took me exactly back to my work. So as a student, you can get back to your work by clicking the same link and it'll take them back to their individual boards automatically, asynchronously if they're in class or they're cloud side, all of that. So it'll automatically take them back to where things are. So
can a student see any other students' work?
no, the students cannot see each other's work. They don't even know who all are in the classroom. They can just look at their own work. You can, as a teacher, you can showcase students' work, which I will show you as well in a bit. But Sid, are there any more features based on what we have shown so far, or these are all things we are going to show, right? So
Yeah. So I was just going to say that. So there are many other questions, but I'll let you go ahead, and so you'll probably cover most of those.
okay, all right, thank you. So on the tools menu, there are a whole bunch of other tools. So if you click this tools icon, you can see you can draw basic shapes, you can draw lines, you can draw arrows, you can draw polygons if you want to, right? You can say, now I want a pentagon. You can put those in. You can fill these in with colors as well. If you right click this, you say fill color. You can pick the color that you want. You can have filled polygons. You can resize them, of course. So not like that, but right, you can resize. Yeah, you can resize them if you want to by clicking the corners of the thing, right? We have post-it notes built in different colors. So if you want to use the post-it notes, we have post-it notes here. We have an infinite cloner. So if you want to make object copies for easier access, you can select the infinite cloner and make copies of any of the objects that are on the screen, right? We have a way to create rich text. So if you want kids to write longer paragraphs, there's a rich text editor where you can format things better. You can make lists, you can write stuff. It's much more convenient to write long sentences with the rich text editor, right? Let me clear this and continue. And then more tools. We have a way to create a link. So we can create an external website link or a different page in the book. So if you want to create a link for, let's say, google.com, you can create a link for google.com and then save it. And when the kids click it, it'll take them. So if I was to go to page 4 on this kid's book, you'll see this link. And if I click it, it'll directly take me to Google on a different window. And if I close that, it'll come back to whiteboard.chat, right? You can embed YouTube videos right on whiteboard.chat. So if you have a video that you want to share with the class, any video, you can just copy the paste the link in here, right? You can say start at what time. So I want the video to start at time 20 seconds and end at time 50 seconds, right? And put that there. And the video shows up on the kids page. It removes the ads. It only plays the duration that you have set for 30 seconds, starting from that point to that point. So you don't have to sit through the whole video as well, right? And then they can proceed with the lesson if they want to. So it's super easy for you to share videos with the kids using whiteboard.chat. A lot of teachers use this. Right. There's a dice, but this is an older dice, which I will show you a newer one in a bit. There's a math editor, which is super powerful as well. So if you want to write quadratic equations, you want to write polynomials, you can do a lot of stuff with this, right? Math editor as well. And then there is a math input guide in the help menu. You go here, you can see the math inputs guide. And it'll show you what all you can do. You can do like quadratic equations, you can do polynomials, you can do fractions, you can do summations, you can do integration, and a lot of other stuff, right? Trigonometry even. We have 2 types of calculators. You again, remember, you can turn off all of these tools for your kids. If you don't want them to have access to the calculator, you can turn off the calculator as well. So we have 2 types of calculators. One is a basic calculator. As the kids are using it, for example, you can watch them in grid view, right? As they're working through the calculator and see what they're doing. That's super useful as well, right? You can see if they're using it properly or not. There is a graphing calculator based on GeoGebra that we have embedded in here as well, right? So if I go to page 4 again, there's a graphing calculator built in. I don't know how to use it. One of the teachers, so all these features are requested by teachers, right? So they ask us to put stuff, we put it, and you can use it. The kids can use it, or you can disable it for the kids also if you want to. Right. And then the last thing is a text box. This is very useful for younger kids. Remember, you can put text anywhere on the screen and type, but if you want the kids to type in a certain area on the screen, you can create these predetermined text boxes, and when the kids type, the answer will go directly into the text box. So they don't have to monkey with the tools. They just have to click that and start typing using the keyboard, and it'll go into where you want them to. And the cool thing about these text boxes is that we just added the ability to do auto corrections as well. So you can say, I want let's say I want to give this answer 2 points, and the right answer is ABC, right? And the second text box is 3 points, and the right answer is DEF, right? And you can save it. And this can be anything. And then when you want to do auto corrections, you can just go to the 3 dots and say auto correct, and you can see the score. It automatically calculates the score. It marks up saying which answer is correct, which answer is wrong for the teachers. So it is super useful for the kids to get instant feedback as to what they're doing correctly or not. I think I'm going to pause here for a second and see if there are questions.
Yeah. Uh, do you have to place text boxes on uploaded worksheets for the students to fill in?
No, so by default, if you have older kids, you don't need to place anything. Like earlier I was showing you guys, they can either use this text tool or they can just place the mouse anywhere and start typing. So you don't need to place anything at all. But for some younger kids, if you want them to exactly write where you want them, then you have to place the text boxes.
Okay. And could you show repeat the part where you typed in the answer and you could do cross-check the answer and give them feedback?
Yes, sure.
Actually,
So
there's a question about how you erase the calculator as well, which you just did. So I hope you saw that.
so everything on the whiteboard can be erased using an eraser, right? So everything is an object. Just use the eraser. I just right clicked and dragged, and that erased the calculator. So I can lock images as well. Remember, the kids can never move stuff that I put on the screen. They can never change stuff that I put on the screen. But if I want, as a teacher, to prevent myself from accidentally deleting stuff or moving stuff, I can lock it as well by right-clicking or using the select and then clicking this image and saying lock. Right now, you can unlock it. You can do other stuff. You can delete it. You can copy it. You can move it. You can resize, clone. You can do a lot more stuff in here. You can add an external link to it as well, which I will show you in a bit. But so the thing I was going to show you was that I'll put now for auto corrections, you do need text boxes. So I'm going to first I'm going to create on top of this thing, I'm going to create a text box. So let's say I want the answer to this thing is deep, right? I create the text box, I right click it, right? And say add answers. So let's say this is 1 point, the answer is deep, and save it, right? And when the kids do it, they get the text box on their side and they just have to type in the answer. And as a teacher, you go to this, if you want to correct all the kids' boards at the same time, you can just click this and say auto correct all boards. There is a way to auto correct a single kid's board as well, but this is simpler. You just press auto correct all, and that's it. You see, you get a little tada as well for the kids, and you get the score and you get what answer is right or wrong for each of the text boxes that are on the screen.
Can you show the math input again and how you typed in x squared?
Yeah, sure. So you go to you increase the size of the font so it's easier to view. You go to math editor. So you can do A and then the caret sign, which is the sign above 6. So shift 6 and do square. If you want to do underscore, so if you want to do subscript, you do underscore, right? So you can do that. Right? And if you want to do special symbols like divide symbols or pi symbols, you can put all of that. Again, all of this is available in our text help in the math input guide, and you can watch that as well, read that.
Would you be able to demonstrate how you do autocorrect for one student only?
Sure. So it's similar. So there is, if you go to, like for example, this, you can say open class boards, and you can see, let's say I only want to correct it for the student. We can just go to their link and say auto correct there, and it will auto correct it only for that student. You can lock individual student boards from here as well. So if you want to lock a board for a kid after you have done the corrections so that they cannot change it, you can lock it so that they cannot make changes to it. You can erase student board from here as well, or you can jump directly to different pages from this menu as well. Again, so please, I think a lot of people get a little intimidated by so many features, but you don't need to do all of these things. You just can do the basic 4 things that we started with, right? These are all advanced things that we cover. We don't have to use them all at the same time. All right. Any more questions?
Yeah, so there was a question again about sharing the media. Where was the shared video option?
So if you want to share the YouTube, you go to tools and say YouTube, right? And that will put a YouTube box. If you want to use the webcam to record, you use this add media, the camera icon here, and you can say add webcam photo or add webcam audio. You can open up this menu as well. If you click the stop button, it'll be easier to read, so you can watch what each of these menu items mean.
Okay. Yeah, I think you should go for the power. I think a lot of other questions might get answered.
Okay. So there are some certain other tools that are here which I didn't show you. One is like a couple of pointers. One is a regular spotlight. So if you want to spotlight a certain section on the screen for the kids, you can see on the right hand side the kid is seeing it on their screen as well, right? So that you can use that. There is also a different pointer which is a little more fun, which is like a little snake, so you can use that to highlight a certain section on the screen as well for the kids. For the students to signal back to the teacher, these are all things that the teacher has designed. So you can put a stoplight or a thumb chart on top of the whiteboard as well, right? And as soon as you do that, what happens is you can see that it is coming on the student board as well. And the students can signal back to the teacher by just clicking this stoplight saying, hey, I don't understand, or browser is stuck. Close this browser and open it again.
There was a question about the snake, Pawan. Is there a way to make the snake shorter?
I think we did make it shorter, but we can make it even shorter if you want to. We can make a configuration item to make it smaller. Yeah, so you can see that the students can click and say, hey, I'm understanding this problem, or I'm not really understanding this problem, or I really need help. And you can watch that from the grid view as well. It's easy for you to figure out what's going on. So those are the tools. And then I'll show you some more features as we go along. Some of the very basic features. So there are grids built into this the whiteboard.chat too. So I'll go to page number 5. You have different types of grid. There's a big, regular, small grid. There's a big grid which is useful for doing math exercises with younger kids. You can do division. You can do addition, subtraction, a lot of different exercises. This is like a mini Excel, if you will. So the kids can just type in it, right? So as you can just go to any other cell and start typing in it, right? And then you can use your arrow keys to move around if you want to as well, right? So you can move around in the arrow keys and edit any of the cells really easily. So this is useful for younger kids. There's a college line paper, so if you want to write long essays, it works well with a smaller 5 or 6 font size because it fits in really nicely, and you can keep writing stuff into the college line paper as well, right? Let me clear that. There is a coordinate plane, like a positive coordinate plane. There's primary line paper, right? There is a music sheet, right? So music teachers love this too. In our palette, if you go here, you can see there's a palette of stickers or manipulatives. There are different manipulators. There's math manipulators for younger kids to put on the screen, right? There is music manipulatives for music. Sorry.
I'm listening to a webinar. Yeah.
Let me mute everybody.
No, I forgot about it. It's on my phone.
Sorry about that. All right. So yeah, you can, music teachers like it. You can teach music theory with it, right? With the music sheets. We have letters of the alphabet. We have magnetic letters, lowercase in different colors, right? We have alphabets phonograms. We recently, yesterday we added these phonograms for younger kids to make sentences, right? We have math manipulatives. So this is what teachers use. The kids don't need, you can create these objects, which I will show you in a second. You can have like 100 chart, 100 blocks, 10 blocks, 1 blocks. You have algebraic tiles. We have a protractor. We have a ruler, right? We have shapes. We have 10 frames. We have number bonds. We have place value charts. We have place value disks. We have numicons. I don't even know what they are. We have number lines, vertical and horizontal vertical lines, number lines. We have snap grids. We have fraction tiles. We have fraction circles. Right? So there's a whole bunch of manipulatives that are already in here. And you can add your own stuff into the library as well. We cover that in our advanced webinar. You can watch the video if you want to. We have 3D shapes, right? So we have like pyramids, we have cubes, a whole bunch of 3D shapes in here as well. We have reward stickers. You can put your bit emojis here if you want to as well. We have different pattern stickers, right? So we have 1 squares, 2 squares. You have currency, like US currency. You have dollar bills, you have coins, you have UK currency, Australia currency, EU currency, Canadian, Malaysian, Indian. We have chemistry symbols as well. So you can actually use that to create atoms and molecules if you want to. We have Russian alphabet, French, Hindi, Tamil. We have animal stickers. So like we have, like I said, we just added Valentine. We do seasonal stickers as well. So we have like, for example, bees and beetle. And any of these objects that are whiteboard.chat allows you to animate them as well. So you can animate objects, you can rotate them, or you can move them around. So make it a little more fun, right? You can have it fly around, right, the screen. Anything you draw, anything you put in from the manipulative, or anything you paste from the web can be made to move around as well. We have emojis, right? We have, it's too complex, right? So we have emojis, we have thinking maps, so like flow maps, Venn diagrams, base maps. Again, all of these things are teacher requested, teacher added. We have built-in spinners, which are programmable. So you can change what the spinners have. So if you want to do group games, that you can change this to kids' names, right? If you want to, right? And then, right, like you can change, and then it'll change to people's names, and you can spin it if you want to, right? And then we have a built-in clock, which the kids can use to tell time. We have a super dice, which we recently added as well. The super dice, what it does is that, let me take this out, but you can program this dice completely. So it's a fully programmable dice. By default, it does fractions, right? But you can change it so that you can have more number of dice if you want to. If you want 3 of them, you can have 3 dice, right? And all of them will roll to different fractions. You can actually make them numbers if you want to, up to 10, up to 100, whatever you want. Or you can make them even alphabets if you want kids to use dice with alphabet. So it's super easy, and then it'll pick randomly from the alphabets or whatever else have you. So kids, teachers create a lot of games out of this, which are super interesting as well. So I'll pause here for a second again and see if there are questions. Right?
Yeah, lots of questions, Paul. Some basic questions about manipulatives. Can you restrict what the students can see, and can you choose what they can exactly see in the manipulatives windows?
So not in the manipulative, but you can turn off the palette completely. So what some teachers do is like exactly this. So let me show a quick exercise. If I want the kids to use the manipulatives to create 2 numbers, 121 and 151, what I can do as a teacher, I can put the manipulative on the screen itself. So you can put like a 100 block, you can put a 10 block and a 1 block, right? And that's it. And then you can say, remember the students cannot, so as a student, if I try to move it or clone it, nothing will happen, right? If I even try to clear the board, nothing will happen. only my stuff gets deleted. But as a teacher, you can set these objects. You can right click and say student can clone, and this object student can clone, and this object student can clone. So from that point onwards, it becomes super easy for the kid to use. They just pick that object and they drag it, and it will become like an infinite cloner. Right? So they can just use that to do the exercise without going to the manipulators, without monkeying around with tools, any of that, right? So just drag and drop to do the exercise that you have set up for them.
Can you demonstrate how you use the infinite cloner while you're doing this?
So the infinite cloner, from my perspective, is for the teachers to prepare the lesson. It's not for the students, right? So the students don't need to, they just need to drag and drop, right? So the infinite cloner is for things like if you are creating a game and you want to put game tiles, for example, right? So if let's say I'm creating a game, I want in that I want to create a, let's use animals, right? I want 5 owls, right? So I can pull them from here, or I can just use the infinite cloner to create 5 owls which are exactly the same for me, right? Or you can do that with a text box. If you want all your text boxes to look exactly the same, that's when you would use the infinite cloner. So if I created a text box and I want 10 of these text boxes to have the same size and the same text size, I can use the infinite cloner with that. So this thing is not meant for the kids to use per se, right? They can use it if they want to, but it's primarily for the teachers to prepare for the lessons instead.
Cool. If I click on an object and I want them to clone, should it say can clone or cannot clone?
Yeah. So this is a little confusing. So by default, they cannot clone, or so you are setting that you say student can clone from this point onwards. And if you want to turn it off, you go back again, it should say cannot clone. So now that object, they can clone it, but if you go back, if you change it to cannot clone, then they cannot clone it anymore. Again, it's good to test it out with a fake student on the site like we do, right? It's always helpful to create another window and test it out with a student.
Great. There's quite a few questions about some of the advanced features, Pawan. I think one of the basic ones that might be useful to cover is the timer. So there's a question about whether there's a timer and how to use it.
Yes, okay, good. So we can show you the timer really quickly. So you can click this button. There are 2 types of timers, 3 types of timers. One is an instant timer, which says, okay, start a timer for 5 minutes. Everybody gets the timer on their screen. And when the timer expires, there's a buzzer that sounds, right? You can also create a timer that expires at a certain time, right? Or a per student timer. This is useful if you're doing an assessment, an asynchronous assessment, and when the student joins, the timer will start, and you can give them 10 minutes to do that activity and auto lock the board. So you can lock the boards, which I will show you as well, but you can auto lock the board when the timer expires as well. You can, sorry,
go ahead, Pawan. Keep going.
So yeah, so in the after hour menu, you can do a lot more things, which I will show you. You can have co-teachers. So for example, in this case, you can have another person, this student, you can make them a co-teacher, so they have access to the same tools that you do. Oh, this is not this guy. This one, right? You can have multiple co-teachers. Then they have access to the grid view. They have access to whoever the kids are raising hands. All of that stuff. They can see everybody, right? You can showcase a certain student's work. So if somebody is doing a really good job, you can click showcase. Everybody's boards updates to that kid's board, but it is anonymous, so you don't know who you're watching. But you can showcase a certain kid's work, and when you click that, it'll turn that off as well at that point. Right? I don't know why I saved it. Okay, and then you can create chats. You can lock boards, so I will show you that as well. So you can lock, maybe I should just log it. Okay, So if you're doing an assessment, for example, for the whole class, you can go here and say lock the class and lock everybody's board, so the kids cannot write on it or they cannot change anything anymore, but the teacher can still write on it. They can do assessments, they can do corrections, they can put the answer keys, all of that, and the kids still have a read-only view of the board later on, right? So they can go back and see where they did wrong, what they did wrong, and so forth, right? And then you can lock an individual page. You can set follow teacher mode. So if you want teacher paste, for example, so your students cannot change pages. So if you're on page 1, everybody's on page 1. If you go to page 2, everybody's page becomes page 2. So it becomes more teacher paste. You can turn on follow teacher mode. Right? There is a special kind of chat built in Whiteboard.chat. This is the chat function of Whiteboard.chat, where you can create the chat. It's a one-to-many chat. You can actually select recipients. So if you want a subset of the kids, or if you want to talk to only one kid, you can do that as well as a teacher, right? And the special thing about this chat is that the recipient can select their chat language that they want to receive, right? So for example, if the kid doesn't speak English, they can pick Spanish, for example, as their chat language, right? And then whatever the teacher types gets translated live to the students, and then in the language that they have picked, right? And then vice versa, if they pick they type in Spanish, it will get translated back to the English if the teacher picks English as their language. I think, so what I'll do is I'll stop here for a second. I'm going to invite you guys to play along with me, bingo with me. There's a special way to create a bingo board, right? So I'll click this, you start a new board, right? So bingo tiles are special. So for example, you can do this place value bingo, which is created by a teacher. You have websites which create this bingo boards, which has each page is a different bingo tile, right? You can go to whiteboard.chat, go to this manage book, and you can say upload bingo, right? And then you can say this bingo file, base value bingo game, right? And now whoever joins this will get a random tile out of this whole book, and you can watch them as they're playing live with you, right? I'm going to change the default tool back to brush so that it makes it easier for you guys. And I'm going to post the invite link on the Zoom chat, so you can all join and you can play along with me. Right, so this is the bingo thing. You can see that this kid is playing, and then I'm going to post the thing on Zoom, and you can click it and then you can join as well, right? And you can experience it as a student. And then as you join, I can see in grid view how how you guys are playing, who's doing well, who's not doing so well. You can cheat, you can call out certain numbers if you want to, if you want to be a little more inclusive of everybody in the class. Right, and in the grid view, you can actually see everybody. So I can make the size of the grid bigger because we have more people now. Right, so I can see a 3x3 grid, for example, and you can see as they're playing, who's doing well, who's not doing so well, and so forth. And all of this work, that all of the boards that we have get saved automatically. You can go to manage boards here, right? If you click this manage boards, you can see all of the work that you have been doing along with your children getting saved here. They do expire in 2 weeks. The boards do expire in 2 weeks, but you can easily extend the expiry by clicking this button, and it'll extend it out by a month. There are also community boards here from teachers who share with each other for free. So you can go here and see how other teachers have created games. They've from around the world, people have created bingo games. They have created several things, and you can make copies of this to watch for yourself and see how other teachers use Whiteboard.chat. So I'll stop here for a second and see if there are questions.
Yeah, one really important question is, does this work all in asynchronous mode?
Yes, so Yeah, exactly. So the teacher never needs to be connected. If you unlock your board and leave it, the student can just click that link and get back to it at any time, right? They can continue doing their work. So it completely works as asynchronous activities. You can record videos, you can put YouTube videos, send them the link. As soon as they click the link, it will make an individual copy for the student and they can continue working. And you can watch them in the grid view, or you can go back at a later stage in your manage book and see all the kids' work there as well.
How do you kick out a specific student?
So if you go to this, again, the open class boards, you can see all of the kids there. If you click this trash icon, it will delete the student, their board as well, and take them out at that point.
How can students communicate verbally if they have questions?
So verbally, the only thing you can do is this video call, but we recommend that you use something else like Zoom or Google Meet or something, because the quality is much better from a video perspective than what we have. So we recommend don't use our video calling, but it is built in if you want to use it.
Okay, do we get a new invite link each time we open whiteboard.chat?
So for each new board that you created, like the bingo board that I'm using right now is a new invite link. The previous board was another one, but most teachers use the same link for the full week or for the whole month, whatever, it's up to you. You can keep using the same link over and over and keep adding pages. So it all depends on how different teachers use it.
Just to be clear, do the students sign in separate from Google Classroom? Is that right?
That's right. So the Google Classroom, they just click this link and it will get into here completely.
And the settings for students can move and students can clone. Do they have to be done before the students join, or can they be done during the session as well?
Yeah, you can do it during the session. Like for example, like I can give you guys like a heart right now, so you can move it around. All right, let's put an ant there, right? So you can say this ant students can clone, right? Now, if you use the move tool, which is this tool, move and resize, you can drag the ant and it will create copies for you. And yeah, so I saw a question, is this all free? Yes, this is all completely free. There is no paid version for whiteboard.chat. We just want to make it useful for educators and students around the world. So all we request you is to give us feedback, tell us how to improve. I mean, it's all free.
One teacher wanted to buy some stocks.
That's right. So teachers keep asking us, are you a publicly traded company? We want to buy stocks. We are a really tiny company, so we don't have any stocks.
Okay, there's one really important question about music. Do you have a larger staff with a lot of space in between the lines? I want my kids to draw some of the symbols by copying them.
We don't have it, but it's super easy for you to put pictures of the internet onto whiteboard.chat too. So if you want to create your own grid, you can. If you send us a picture, we can add it as well. But like if I want like a music symbol, right? Like let's say I wanted to add something which I don't have. You can use the snip tool and you can just paste it onto whiteboard.chat, and this you can do for anything, right? And if you want to add it to your palette, you can right click this guy and say add to palette, right? So it will get added to my palette as well, so I can use it again and again. You can do that with your bit emoji, you can do it with anything you find over the internet, and then you have it as part of my objects here, right? So you can use this, for example, you can added that. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Pawan. You were going to say that.
No, I was going to stop the recording. So I think we are at the top of the hour. I wanted to thank all of you guys to spend your valuable time with us. Please try this out. If you have questions, comments, feedback, please feel free to reach out to us. We love to hear from teachers. And we'll stay 30 more minutes so to go through all the questions we haven't answered, or if you have more stuff that we want to cover. Again, thank you so much for attending.